Hello everyone. We'll be talking about creative direction and its role in the future of fashion brands. First of all, we're going to talk about the problem that most Nigerian brands face from my own angle, and that's the problem of wanting to monetize quickly. But I don't blame everybody that wants to do that. It's mainly because of the economy. You want to start the brand and just start making money, and that is not so bad. But if you are thinking in a futuristic sense, it's not really sustainable. Like every other business, you have to build. You have to build for a particular period of time before you start asking people to patronize you. And the culture of Nigerian business is more about buy my clothing item because of I have influence, buy for me because I'm your guy, and it's starting to get really saturated and very infuriating. Like, what's the end goal of anyone trying to start a fashion brand? So we're going to talk about some key concepts before you start a fashion brand. And one of them is your brand identity, your brand vision, your brand message, and your brand content strategy, your brand marketing, and finally, your brand positioning. All of these concepts is going to play a major role in how the creative direction of your brand is going to be. Let's start with brand identity. Brand identity is what separates you from every other person. Let's take, for example, you're in a relationship. The reason why you chose your partner, or the reason why your partner chose you, could be because of certain values that you possess. Probably looks, probably intellectual ability, probably athletic ability. But this is your identity. This is what separates you from the masses. And in terms of a business or a brand, it's the visuals that you present to people. It's the way you communicate, your tone of communication. It's your personality. That's what brand identity means. It's basically your personality. So in terms of a brand, it's your visuals, the tone of communication, the way you do business, your culture, what is what separates you from the rest. So there are some certain key elements that are very important when you're focusing on your brand identity, and that's your logo, your color, your typography, your imagery, and general aesthetic. For also your verbal identity, the way you speak, and this is where tagline comes into play. This is where the way you communicate to your customers come into play, and this is even where your name come into play. Your name also gives you a brand identity on how people perceive you. For example, if my name of my brand is, for example, Go Crazy. When you hear Go Crazy, you're not like, yes, this is a brand that's going to go all hard. It's not a brand for the normal person. It's someone that is going to is alt, is different. Do you understand? And you hear something like Gam Formal. You know, this is something that's more on the contemporary corporate end. You get. And finally, your brand values. And the brand values that you have is what helps in the decision-making process, who you collaborate with, who you partner with, type of decision that you make as a brand. So all of these concepts I'm explaining also contribute to your brand identity. Do you understand? So now let's talk about brand message. Brand message is what your brand says over time for a long period of time. It's your brand vision. Like, for example, let's take Nike. Nike's brand message or vision is to make sure that everybody on earth is a runner, is an athlete. And I've been doing that for a long period of time. And there's a particular brand called the New Grade. That brand vision is creating a modern senior generation. And from the way that content is being presented, you can see that they are talking about how older generation can feel cool, how to integrate older generation into the streetwear space, which is very cool. And personally for us at Stylecon, our brand message is to empower upcoming designers and upcoming fashion owners on how to build a fashion brand successfully. So all we do is in that direction. So your brand message is very, very important. Then this is the most important part of this show, is your brand content strategy. And this is where a creative director comes in place. You see, all what we have discussed, the brand identity, your tone of communication, your brand message, all those things are usually done by a strategist. It could be you, since you're just starting. You're the one that have to do your research on how to do those. But how to present all of this in a visual content way that people can actually benefit from it is what now play an important role. And most of the times, we can't do it ourselves. We need someone that is experienced in that role. That is where creative direction and creative directors come into play. Now, the one that tells you how type of content that you make, what kind of way to distribute those kind of content, what kind of environment to use, what kind of models to use, what kind of celebrities, what kind of influencers to use, and how all of those align with what you're trying to do. This is where a lot of brands miss out on it. Yeah, you guys have the ideas, you have the concepts, you have the brand storytelling, but you are not presenting that storytelling in a way that we, your audience, can have a full understanding of what you are doing. Let's take it a bit back. When the whole point of social media is to create a narrative about you or your business, whether you're running a personal brand, whether you're running a business brand, it's to create a narrative about your business. And when someone goes to your social media page, they're scanning through your page to decide on what kind of person is this person is, what kind of this is this person is this. So if you're trying to tell a story, like you're trying to say your story is I'm trying to create affordable something, I'm trying to create cool kids, as I'm on your page, I should see that. I shouldn't be wanting to buy from me because of someone influential is on your page. That should not be it. So there's a brand I just stumbled upon. The name of the brand is EME Studios, and I scanned through that page. It had been existing for quite a while, but I just stumbled upon that page a few weeks ago. And the whole concept of that page is to be always grateful, be extroverted, living your best life. And from the first 3-4 posts, I was able to already get that message from the post because the creative direction was able to pass that message, and that is where most brands miss out. The creative direction is usually very poor. It's consistent, it's monotonous, and it's just on the same linear graph, like, okay, yes, I'm doing the same thing, the same concepts. You have a brand goal, you have a brand message, you have a brand identity. Your creative director should be able to come up with, or yourself, if you're the creative director, should be able to do your research and come up with a brand strategy on how to present those directions to you. So now, for example, your creative director will be the one to tell you that, okay, should we go with founders marketing? Should we go with user-generated content? Should we go with a type of campaign? This campaign is going to deposit more of a cultural perspective. If we're doing a drop and the drop is around the cultural perspective, let's do it this way. If it's a drop around technology, let's do it this way. If it's a drop that appreciates people that are mentally disturbed, let's do it this way. It's the way that you are able to communicate your message in a way that your audience feels heard and they're able to, like, yes, this person is connecting to my soul. I'm sorry I used that example. But in summary, a creative director's job is so important, and it's a deciding factor that tells us whether your brand is going to make it to the 5th collection. That job is very, very important and is overlooked. It's basically a bedrock for your future in terms of you establishing a brand position in the fashion space. So if you get it all wrong in the brand content strategy, no matter what your message is, you're the only one that knows it. You're not communicating it with your audience. Let's talk a bit about market strategy. Although your market strategy is mainly the work of a business strategy, someone that tells you, okay, this is how we should put content out. But I'll be giving you some tips on how to go about that. For market strategy, there are different types of marketing, especially for business in general. But I'm talking particularly to business, fashion business owners. You have the founders marketing, which is most common. If you are familiar with APSA, that's what APSA does, where he talks about his brand, he takes you through the process. He is the one telling you the whole story. So you're able to connect with APSA, you're connecting with APSA personality, you're buying because APSA has said this, you're buying because APSA seems like a very honest person, it seems like a very hardworking young man. So you're buying because of him. We have a similar concept here also, where I talk about what we're doing at StyleCon, and I'm the founder. So in terms of a fashion brand that doesn't want to do all the educational stuff, it could be the founder's lifestyle. Nude Project has something similar to that. I'm saying this brand name so you can go and check them out on your own when you are less busy. Check them out and know, okay, this is how they're actually doing. So the founder's marketing is a very powerful form of marketing. The founder is sitting in front of the camera, he's showing you his lifestyle, he's showing you what he needs, what he does, how you should connect with him, and it's very, very brilliant. Then we have influencer marketing. I'm sure this is very, very common in the Nigerian space, where you drop a collection and you're going to give it to a celebrity or an influencer to wear it and just like hype your stuff and stuff. So this is just one part. Combining this with the founders marketing is brilliant. Combining 2 marketing or 3 marketing strategy together is like a bundled package and is definite way to guarantee your future in the fashion space. So we also have user-generated content. User-generated content is one of the most powerful ways to get customers, and I'm saying this because I basically experimented this recently with a drop that me and APSA did, and APSA, like, it's a collaboration, but regardless, APSA was like a customer to me, and he's already an influencer. He's an influencer in the fashion space, and a collab with him is like a user-generated content because he has gotten our service before and our product, so he's able to guarantee the quality and promote us from his own video. So now I'm not the one that's saying that my stuff is great. Someone else is saying my stuff is great. So when people see people using your stuff in your videos, like it is a lot of hype around people using your products, people giving testimonials about your products that you don't even force them to do. But your products are so great that the users are willing to come around and like just share testimonies about what you do. I'm very sure some brands don't even have following on TikTok, and you see that these brands just blew up in a day. That is the power of user-generated marketing. Like your users that want to make content for you, and it's one of the most brilliant ways to stand out in the fashion space. Then I think finally we have the making use of trends. This is when you come up with different type of concepts where you see people like maybe a trend is going on TikTok, people are just eating each other, like this Gen Z's videos, like people are eating each other, coming up with maybe going to the coffee shop, talking about, I don't know, it's just trendy content that comes up. I'm not really versatile with that kind of content, but you see a content that comes up that is trending on TikTok and you try to tap into it before the trend goes down. You see a challenge, challenge is a better way to explain it. You see a challenge that is going on TikTok or Instagram and you try to tap into it before it goes down. But for this type of content, you have to be very, very fast. So now imagine you combining 3 or 4, even doing all of this content. Just imagine how powerful your brand is going to be. And this is something that you should have done prior to starting your brand. It's not something that you do or you figure out around the way. When you're coming up with your brand vision, you're coming up with your brand name, coming up with your brand mission or message or vision, you should know, okay, this is the type of content we want to do. This is all we're going for. At this stage, we do founders marketing. When we go to the next stage, we do more of influencer, we do more of collaborating. Personally, for me, I feel the best way to start is to start with founders marketing. It's very, very powerful. People can connect to you personally and you build a foundational base on, like, yes, people know that you are someone that can be trusted, they've seen your face, they know who you are. Then you move it a bit into user-generated content. So your users are the ones making content for you. Then you can go with collaborations and influencer. Then lastly is trendy content, because the trend always goes away. Do you understand? So it's not really a type of content that you want to do that you're going to focus on. Like, it's a main type of marketing strategy. Pushing on trends. Trends die, trends come and go. So putting other type of marketing as your foundational base before you move on into trending content is good. But if I can combine all of this, it's just going to be very, very brilliant. And lastly is your brand positioning. If you have done all of this well, all of what I've mentioned above, if you have done this very, very well, your brand positioning will not be a problem. Your brand positioning will come naturally, like, okay, this is who this guy is, and this is what he does, and this is the kind of audiences he attends to. Let's take, for example, you are into a cultural brand. You're trying to, I think there's a brand that is doing that now, which is so smart. You're trying to infuse streetwear into culture. So you're probably doing like a jot, where it's in a show, okay, to do a jot, and you're combining it with an uncle shirt, and it's great, it's lovely. Now, people know what you are doing already. You have stood out in the market space for the kind of unique style that you do, and people are going to rock with you based on that audience. You have your own kind of, you generally don't need to have what type of audiences. You just need to have your own particular audience. But you have stood your ground in the space, and people can come to you for a particular type of product they want. They know the kind of feeling they want to get from patronizing you. So brand positioning is the goal that we're all trying to get as businesses, not even fashion brands, whatever business you are doing, even if you are selling pure water, even if you are doing whatever, even pure water brands, bottled water brands have competition. When you go with Nirvana or you go with Eva, I'm sure there's a different feeling you get. It's not just meaning to quench taste. And the other luxurious brands, I think there's Liquid Death in Europe, and there's Prime. And there are different brands. I'm not sure if Prime is a bottled water brand, but I know Liquid Death is a water brand. So you can see the way someone is able to brand Liquid Death and position himself, even in the water industry, that people are like, okay, what value can water bring to you? So it does not matter what you are selling. The concept of brand direction, creative direction is very important, no matter the business you are doing. Although this is mainly for fashion business owners and upcoming fashion designers, it's just a way that you can create something futuristic for yourself. It's not something that's going to just be like a temporary lived collection, temporarily lived name. The whole point of building a business around fashion is to have have something that you can call an household name. Like you can see some brands that have been existing for about 18 years. and they're still pushing it. And this is because that people don't already know them for something they did. And I'm sure all of these principles that I've mentioned, they went through at least 85% of them.